All right, everyone. Hello, hello. We are back. We have Ratana here, who is the lovely voice actor, the English voice actor for Yae Miko.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
First of all, thank you so much for being here. Like, we have so many Yae Miko fans, and everyone has been so excited to have you on. So thank you so much
thank you.
I know you're so busy, like you just have lots of stuff going on. So thank you so much for making time for us.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out today. It's a pleasure to be here. So thanks.
Yes. Like we've had Anne on before. We've had Christian. We've had Corey,
Okay.
and
Okay, so
yeah,
Easy Manila.
pretty much. Yeah, we've had the whole Inazuma crew here. So
I love it. I love it.
yeah. So anyway, we can just get right in questions if you're ready to go.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So first question is, how did you get into voice acting?
How did I get into voice acting? I grew up loving cartoons. And it says in the chat am I echoing? Are we in a cave? I don't know.
Oh, are you y'all? You getting an echo? Let me adjust here.
No worries.
Okay. All right.
I guess
Should
my
be
voice
better.
varies.
Hopefully.
Let me make sure. Do I need to be off of Zoom sound?
I don't think so.
Okay. Otherwise, you can't hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. If
Okay,
it's better, just throw us an emoji or something.
Yeah, everyone says it's better now. Everyone says
Okay,
perfect.
great.
You sound perfect.
Okay, cool. So you were asking how I got into voiceover. I grew up loving cartoons. I was raised by a television and my parents. And so I watched a lot of cartoons and I loved them. And I loved all of the voices and the different, characters and the crazy antics. And then somehow, somewhere, somebody told me like drawings don't speak for themselves. And I was like, what? This is a job? There's people that do this and they get paid? Okay, how do I do this? I grew up in Detroit. This is like, before we had this lovely technology, so you could just take a class from wherever you wanted to be. So at the time, the only way to do it was to go somewhere where the industry was. And at that time, I was not quite ready to make the jump into acting. I had Asian immigrant parents. And so when I was like, yeah, I really want to be an actor, I think I'm going to go to New York and do theater, they said, over my dead body and yours.
Oh, no.
So not in so many words, but in their Asian immigrant parent way. And I like to eat. I like to just, feel like I'm safe and comfortable, as many of us do. And so I did the good little Asian girl path, and I went to school and I studied business and I did all of the things. And then fast forward, I ended up in California for grad school for a completely different discipline. And in my hobby life, met some people who were studying voice acting.
Oh, wow. So I believe you're Filipino, right?
I'm part Filipino.
Part Filipino, yeah. I was actually born in Olongapo City in the Philippines too. So
Nice.
yeah, so I definitely understand the Asian parent thing, because my mom was like, as soon as she found out that I am a content creator, she's like, why?
Right. She's like, what are you doing all day? Are you just like drinking Mountain Dew and sitting in the dark?
Exactly. She's like, there's no way you could make a career out of this. And I'm like, well, So-
Watch me.
yeah, exactly. So I definitely understand that. So you went to school for business?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like anything specific, like in business or just
I
general?
studied marketing and advertising as an undergrad. I got an MBA, so I'm a little bit overeducated to do the job that I do, but it has served me very, very well. So
Yeah.
that's what I did.
I think when I saw on your website too that you actually do like consultations and stuff for like, I think advertisement and things like that of that nature.
So I call myself a professional storyteller. That's what we do. We tell stories. Even as a content creator, you're telling stories. And so what I did was I took my corporate life and I turned it into a kind of my side hustle from acting. So I do consulting work. I do, brand strategy stuff. I've worked with individuals. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies. It's just a nice way because we have a right and a left brain. And so if I only work one side of my brain, the other side gets jealous. And so that's how I kind of balance both sides of my brain.
That is absolutely amazing. I have a hard time keeping up with people in chat. So I don't even know how you manage to like do all of that. That's incredible.
I have an insanely color coded schedule. That's how.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So you said that you got inspiration or like you wanted to be a voice actor because of cartoons. Was there any like specific cartoon that like, or like any show that was like your favorite?
Gosh, so I grew up on a lot of things like the classic Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah.
You know, all of that stuff, Saturday morning cartoons, Disney afternoon, like typical 90s fare kind of stuff.
Yes.
Voltron, like classic Transformers, all of that stuff, the Animaniacs, all of those things. And I just loved them. I loved how crazy they were. I loved all of the various things they could do and their voices and all of that stuff. And as somebody who was really interested in acting and specifically theater, there weren't a lot of roles for people who looked like me. I could either be like a prostitute in Miss Saigon, or I could just fall off a boat in Flower Drum Song. And that was it.
Oh no.
That was it. There was nothing else. Or no, I lied. Or I could be one of the wives or the kids in The King and I.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So there were like 3 places I could play, and none of them felt good. They all felt really stereotypical, and I loved them for what they are and because they give us a chance to tell some of our stories. But you know, it just was super frustrating on that side, and so it made it also easier just to do the good little Asian girl path and study business and do all those things. And then when voiceover came around, it was like, oh, this light popped up in my head, and nobody cares what I look like.
Oh,
yeah. I don't have to be pretty. I don't have to be any specific look. I just have to sound like the right character.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's that's like so inspirational because I like honestly like I felt the same way growing up with just watching things. It's just like nobody looks like me.
Nobody looks like me.
Yeah. So that's why it's so important that representation in media is just so
100%.
Important. So that's why just pretty much like most of the Inazuma cast is like Asian American, and that was like amazing for those of us.
I know, right?
Yeah, and like a lot of my viewers are actually from the Philippines, so like everyone was like yes when Anne came on and when I announced that you're coming on, so everyone is just so excited about it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So was there like
my cousins?
Was there any like specific like voice actor that you looked up to while you were kind of going through your career, like a specific actor?
Mel Blanc is the GOAT.
Oh, I don't who
Mel Blanc originated basically all of the Looney Tunes.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh.
And so, you know, back in the day when kind of the beginning of cartoons, you know, a lot of those people were like radio actors, that kind of stuff. You know, maybe there was an on-camera person that was told they had a face for radio, which is so shady. You know, but those actors, there were like a few people in a room, so they had to be super versatile.
Mm-hmm.
And Mel Blanc, Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Foghorn Leghorn, Pepe Le Pew, like if you go online, so when Mel Blanc died, the Warner Brothers studio stores and their whole business put this like huge ad in the paper, and it was a picture of all of his characters and an empty microphone and a spotlight on the empty mic called Speechless.
Oh,
because all of these characters had lost their voice.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And like that hit at a very formative time for me, and I was just like, oh, there is one person who did all of those things. I want to be like that person who can do all of those things. And so I think I learned, you know, from his example, versatility and how to be versatile. And then, you know, watching things like the Animaniacs, they took over sort of that vein of like, you know, a few people doing a lot of voices. And, you know, they had kind of their stable of people. And it just, you know, they're versatile. They can do a lot of things, you know?
That's incredible. I actually didn't know that he voiced all of those characters. So yeah, that's amazing.
That's like OG cartoon lore.
Yeah, like it really is.
Yeah, because, you know, now I feel like video games have sort of taken over from where like cartoons were slash are, and they're all kind of merging because now there's like Arcane,
Yeah.
which was game and now is animated series,
Right.
and then goes back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all playing in each other's sandboxes now. We're learning from each other, but it's
Oh,
been really fun to watch.
that's amazing. So, when you auditioned for a role in Genshin Impact,
Mhm.
was there like a specific character that you were more interested in voicing? Like, did you have any knowledge about the game prior to your audition, or
Um, okay, so I knew of Genshin Impact because I have a lot of voiceover friends who
mhm.
were already in it. Um, I think when the auditions came out for these characters, I had no idea what I was auditioning for. A lot of the stuff we get is very heavily coded under NDA,
Right?
codenamed, secret passwords, all kinds of things. So you don't know what you get until you find out you book the job.
Oh,
And I like I respect that, everybody's worried about like leaks and spoilers. I
right.
don't want to spoil it. I somebody asked me about this earlier and I was like, at least on the Twitter page, there's like what, 3 million people who follow Genshin Impact. And I don't know how many people are actually gaming Genshin Impact around the world, but if you just multiply that, I don't want to spoil the surprise for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're all planning this big party and it's for you guys, and I don't want to spoil it.
Honestly, we're so
Um,
excited. And yeah, our community is leak free. So we're very like no spoilers, no
yeah,
leaks,
good, good,
nothing.
good. I love it.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so
And yeah,
yeah.
I remember the other voice actors were telling me too that like when you audition, like you don't know what
Not a
you're
clue.
going to get or like who you're auditioning for.
Mhm.
So yeah, when you like got the news that you were Yae Miko, what was that
Mhm.
experience like? Did you like look at pictures of her or
Um, so I think for this one, and this is like again, things are very heavily under wraps.
right.
I don't know that I saw a picture of her
Okay.
until you guys did.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm going back into my memory files because we started recording this quite a while ago now. You guys have been waiting a very long time to figure out who was behind her voice.
Yes.
And, I was only allowed to say something, what, 2, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, but, when I got the job and we're in the booth, they tell us about the character. So when you book the job and you're working it, they tell you about the character. They give you some ideas about what their personality is. Maybe you get a picture. I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember if they gave me a picture or not. I think there were some ideas about how Yae Miko presented herself and how she showed up in the world. And they wanted my voice to embody that. And that's what we focused on.
Oh wow. So are you anything like Yai? Like is your personality similar? She's
Ooh.
so sassy. Like, oh my gosh, she's wonderful.
She can throw shade from 100 miles away.
Literally.
Um, I so I think that like Yamiko, I'm kind of an old soul. I definitely have that sassy side, but I tend to keep that under wraps unless you really piss me off. Um, but I think just that like facilness with words and that loving of storytelling is something that we both have. I think where we're different is I am a fast talker. I read fast, I talk fast, I move fast. So I had to slow my butt down
Oh no.
to help find what her voice is because let's face it, the world waits for Yaimiko.
Yes.
They're on her time, not the other way around.
Pretty much. So a bunch of us have already done her story quest in the
Okay.
game.
Okay.
Did you actually see it or anything? Like, did you watch it? Because I know that, like, obviously recording it, it's probably different than actually like
Mhm.
experiencing it. I'm
For
sure.
sure. So I have seen the story quest. I have
Okay.
not myself played it through. I am a very baby Genshin player,
Oh.
so I don't even think I have enough skill level yet to unlock it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What was recording that like? Because I feel like a lot of us saw like such a different side to Yai, especially towards the end of that story quest. Like
Mm-hmm.
it ended up being really emotional because most of us are like so used to seeing her so sassy and,
Mm-hmm.
throwing shade. But like, I feel like towards the end of that, she got really soft and it was just really sweet. What was that like?
Um, I honestly, it's fun to get in the booth whenever I get to voice Yae Miko. Let me see what I remember of this. It was like I think it was interesting because it was a very different side.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of get to see the businesswoman and her editor hat goes on and
Mm-hmm.
and you get to kind of get in her head about how she thinks about things, which I don't think you got to see before then. You kind of got to see the output of what she was thinking.
Yes.
Um, and so that was really interesting. I think it's fun to see the different dimensions of the characters as they progress. Like the same with like Anne's character, she shows up as Raiden Shogun, and then you find out all this other stuff about her that you're just like, oh my gosh, this girl has like dimensions beyond dimensions. And so as an actor, it's fun to play. And as somebody who's also discovering the story with you as I'm in the booth, it's fun to like uncover these little parts of her character.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's great about Genshin. A lot of us really love Genshin because the characters are so multifaceted. And you did
Mhm.
such an amazing job in the story quest and just in general. Every time that, Yae Miko would show up, we'd all be like, oh my gosh, she's
Oh,
amazing.
thanks.
So the way that you acted her, especially in the story quest, just seeing those different dimensions and, how multifaceted she is, you did an amazing job.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to ask. What was it like? Did you actually work a lot with like Anne and Corey? Because I know that you did a lot of scenes with both of them, or did y'all just like record like separately, or did y'all like talk to each other about how you were going to act certain things, or like how was that?
So we did not work together on those specific scenes that you're talking about.
Okay,
Most of voice acting right now, we are in a vacuum.
right.
Especially like it's a pandemic induced vacuum, and it's also just a vacuum because that's how it's sort of been for the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
It What's wonderful is they're both such strong actors that after a while, and I don't remember if Goro was out when we were doing his dialogue, but you know, I had an idea of Raiden Shogun, so I could kind of play against what I thought that was in my head, right? And Anne is such an amazing actor that like you just kind of get lost in, and so it's really nice to hear it in dialogue when it's finally put together. And then with Corey, like I said, didn't know. You just kind of you either hear somebody feeds you the line and then you react to it, or you kind of imagine it in your head. And it was just like when I finally heard the whole thing put together, it just comes. It's so perfect. But that is the marriage of the other people who are doing the work. So the director and the writer and the person who's adapting the script and the people who are editing it together to make sure that it sounds like a real dialogue, and the playfulness of their banter, I think, really comes through.
It really does. And that's why I asked that question, because I was like, oh, they must have like, talked about it to like
Yeah.
make it work, because like it literally sounds like
Yeah.
y'all are just
Nope. And we
together.
don't know who's voicing who until we hear the announcements too.
That's
So
that's incredible.
we are
Yeah, the
all we are all in on the surprise party.
oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's y'all have such amazing chemistry together. Like the entire Inazuma cast, just chemistry.
Yeah. No, that's the casting. They did a great job. So
So you also voiced Leonie from Fire
mhm,
Emblem Three Houses. That was an amazing
mhm.
game, one of my favorites from
Thank
like I think
you.
like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
How similar are Yai and Leonie, and like what was the difference between like voicing her and like voicing Yai?
Mm.
Basically, like just what was that like, that process?
Okay, so Yai and Leonie are very different humans. Actually different beings, because technically Yae Miko is Kitsune. Um,
Yes.
Leonie is probably a little closer to my personality in that she's, she's fiercely loyal. She's kind of a cheerleader. She like really champions the underdog. And she has moments where like she is unhappy with injustice. And so I feel like for her, there's sort of I don't want to say pureness, but she just comes across, she's more wholesome.
She really is.
And then Yae Miko she's part fox. So she's, sly, she's cunning, she's playful. She probably knows things 3 steps ahead of everybody else. And so it's fun because they're very different beings, but they stand alone as characters. They each have, their good days, their bad days, and their unique way of showing up in the world.
Yeah, Leonie too. That was, you also did an amazing job with Leonie too, because I feel like her journey as a character too is incredible. Because at first we're like, why is she like this? And then later on, it's like, I love her now.
I think she's fun because in terms of like, from her academy days to her post-skip, days,
right?
She very solidly knows who she is and what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And not all of us have that, especially nowadays. But, if you think about like when you're thinking about going off to college, like 17, 18 years old, and they tell you have to pick a major and you're like, but I can't decide.
Yeah.
I want to be a psych major. No, I want to be a business major. No, I want to study philosophy. No. And you might change your major like 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Maybe more. Right. Leonie came in there and she's like, I am going to study kinesiology and that's all I'm doing.
She really is like that. Very headstrong.
Very, very knows her. She knows her own, mind. Really
yes.
Well. Yeah.
Have you played Fire Emblem Three Houses? Because I know you mentioned that you're a very baby Genshin player. How about Three Houses?
Very casually and very poorly. I like to call my skill set as enthusiastic but talentless.
So, do you play any video games at all? Like, is there any video game that like you are super into, or just not really a gamer?
I do when I can. I love games just because I think it's sort of the next place that animation goes, and so I love seeing what we do with the technology and how gaming mechanics work. And this is how we experience things together now, right? Is to game. The best way for me to play a game is to watch through people like you, honestly, because I am not good at it. So I am like, Friends reference, I am like Joey in the Scary Book.
Oh my
gosh.
Get
stuck on a thing and I just put it in the freezer. So I'm just like, okay, for example, in Genshin, I cannot freaking get my flying license from Amber.
Oh no.
It's just going to go in the closet for a while. And then at some point I will pick up the iPad and I will be like, okay, we are going to pass my flying exam and I'm going to level up.
I'm cheering for you. I know you can do it.
So I am at a much slower pace than everybody else.
That's okay.
It is my pace. So
it's totally okay. I feel like Genshin is one of those games too where like there's no rush. You can play, your own pace and so just enjoy your journey. And if you need to take a break, that's totally valid.
That's right. We'll just put it in the freezer. It's okay.
Yes. Are there any other characters in Genshin that are your favorite? Because obviously Yae Miko is probably, I'm sure she's very special to you, but are there any characters that you really, really like in Genshin?
God, what I love about Genshin is so many of my friends are in it. So I get to celebrate their talent.
Aww.
And when they were all announcing, especially the ones who were in like the 1.0 from the very beginning, when they were finally allowed to announce, like, we don't know what this is going to do. We have no idea. We do the job. We are grateful to be paid for the job. We're grateful to be able to announce the job. But we don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Genshin could easily have been something, some other success rate versus where it is now.
Yeah, it's wild because I know last year, I think it was last year in September, there were 50 million people playing Genshin. Gosh. So obviously it's, now we're in this year and I can't even imagine. I haven't even looked up what the numbers are now, but in September it was 50 million. So
Yeah, and I didn't even know that. So I just knew it was popular.
Yes.
And I was just so happy for my friends because we've grown up together in classes and workshops and casually seeing each other before the pandemic. And they're beautiful humans, they're amazingly talented. And now they get to enjoy this level of success and or notoriety as they choose with you guys. And it just, oh, it makes my heart so happy. And so, there have been a lot of text messages that fly back and forth as they announce these roles, like, oh my God, I'm so happy for
Aww.
you. So I don't have a favorite character per se. My favorite thing is just being able to like say, oh my God, that's my friend. She did that.
Oh, that is so wholesome. That's incredible. Yeah, it's been every time a new voice actor is announced for a playable character, it's amazing to see just the celebrations on Twitter and the entire cast like congratulating each other and stuff. It's honestly been so wholesome. And then when you're announced, I was like seeing your tweets and you're just like, whoa, my follower number is going wild.
Yeah, you guys, like, you melted my phone.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I'm so incredibly grateful, but I was like, I couldn't keep up with it.
Oh no.
And so forgive me for all of you who are still waiting for a like or a comment or something. Just know that I've seen it. I'm so grateful for it. I'm really just honored by all of the warmth and the attention and the love that you have for this character. And then by extension, you've given me that as well. And so I'm humbled. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So in reference to the social media aspect, since now, you've obviously gained quite a few additional followers since your announcement. Does being a voice actor come with like challenges in regards to mental health? Because I know that social media can definitely have an effect on mental health at some points. Does it come with any problems or issues or anything like that?
I think it's a great question. I think also as humans, like being a human comes with challenges for mental health. So,
absolutely.
Let's just acknowledge the kind of universal condition of us living in the time that we live in, under the microscope of everything, plus social media, plus, life on demand on a 24/7 cycle. As far as being a voice actor, I think I don't know that it's especially unique. I think it just kind of sometimes it magnifies things or it gives us a platform to talk about things in a way that maybe we wouldn't have had. I think what I'm kind of learning and acknowledging in this specific time is just this need to just really be kind to ourselves and to practice extreme self-care, not just for us, but the people in our loving circle, our chosen family, our actual family, is just to extend this kind of circle of grace to one another, and especially to ourselves, because we all get caught in the mind traps. We all get caught in the emotional trap and the feeling of having to keep up or you're not enough or whatever. And so part of it is just, okay, if I need to take a step back and I need a breath, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to take my breath. And, my friends and I, we all talk about this. We all like check in on each other and make sure that everybody's okay and feeling, as whole as you possibly can in this time. And I think that's just the best that you can do. All you can do every day is your best.
Absolutely. And I know, like, I really understand that too. That's something that we talk about a lot in my community as well. We talk about, we don't shy away from mental health because I think that's just important to, if you have a platform, just to kind of talk about it. And especially during a pandemic, I mean, during a
pandemic, and you're a creator too. So I'm sure you feel the pressure, like some days you're like, oh my gosh, I have to churn out these things. And other days you're like, yes, I'm fine. It's great.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's great hearing that, hearing your perspective from it and sharing your thoughts on it. So, and also your social media posts too, like in the mornings, I look forward to those because they're so like, I drink like my coffee or whatever. And I'm like, let me check and see what Ratana said to get me going today.
Aw, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
If y'all haven't seen Ratana's like morning posts, they're so great. They just get you going. Give me the confidence boost that I need and be like, all right, I'm ready to start my day now.
I started writing those almost 3 years ago
Oh,
now.
wow,
Like
really?
right around when Fire Emblem was announced, I started just writing a daily post.
Oh, wow.
Just a little morning hello greeting, good morning. I kind of think of it like I don't know how many of you had moms who would pack your lunch for school.
Oh, yes.
And now they're super elaborate, but like, maybe you got like a little lunch bag and you had your sandwich and a little piece of fruit and, whatever. And then maybe your mom or your parent put a little note in there. So I like to think of it as like a Twitter version of that because there's a lot of negativity on Twitter and I don't need to add to that.
Yeah. They really do feel like that too because they're so inspirational and
Oh,
they're
thanks.
wonderful.
Thank you.
So going back to Genshin, what was
Mhm.
your favorite scene that like you remember? Because I know that you probably do like a lot of different things for recording. What was your favorite scene to voice for Yae in Genshin?
Ooh, I don't know that I have one. I think when it really coalesced for me is the first time I saw the trailer
Oh, okay.
with Yae Miko's voice. This is many moons ago before anybody knew, who was behind the voice. And just to see, because you don't know how they're going to be used or placed, I could have easily been like a 5-line character who's like, "Hi, would you like some mochi today?" And that would have been perfectly fine. I would have had a great day. It would have been awesome, right? And like cut to when they started teasing Inazuma, and I hear it and I hear it in the context and I see like, oh my gosh, the gorgeous scenery and the music and the other characters and how they're sort of positioning the storylines. That's when it sort of hits home, I think, for what she became in the game. But I don't go in there with like a, oh my god, I'm doing this thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to work today, this is awesome.
Aw.
Yeah, so as far as favorite scenes go, I don't know that I have one. I think some of the things that really kind of I remember energetically or emotionally is like, talking about I think there's some moments where she talks about her relationship with the Raiden Shogun, kind of like backstory relationship. And so you understand where her loyalty is
Okay.
and, where her sense of like kinship comes from. And then, like those little moments where she gets to throw shade,
Those are the
you
best.
know, those are a lot of fun because you don't know what they are until they are, right? And then when we're in the booth and we're doing them, every once in a while I come up for air and I'm like, dang, she's shady.
She really is. She's so great.
So, and it's kind of fun because basically she gets to drop the one-liners you always wish you have in a moment. And then when you walk away, you're like, damn, I should have said that thing. She gets to say it right in the moment.
She really does. And like nobody can like do anything about it. Everyone's just like, well, I don't want to talk back or like I don't want to say anything.
She is the head shrine maiden. What are you going to say to her?
Exactly. Oh, so what was the coolest experience of your career, do you think? Was it Genshin or was it something else?
Um, the coolest moment of my career is the first day I got paid to do what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the day you turn pro. And up until then, you don't know what it's going to be. You're kind of taking a calculated risk on your career. You're investing in yourself, and that's scary sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for us who are like daughters of immigrant parents who want us to do like accounting.
Yes, or be a doctor,
or medicine,
a nurse.
right? And so this is a very, very far left turn from anything they ever expected of us. And so you just kind of go in there and you take a risk and then you start auditioning and you do your thing and you don't know what to expect. And in the beginning, you don't know. I mean, I'm sure the first time you turned on your Twitch channel, you were like, I have
This was ordained by fate. So cool. Long had I foreseen it.
And then eventually,
oh snap, 'tis the time.
Things grow. You work on it. You get there. It grows. People start talking about it. But yeah, that first day, they're like, yeah, you book this thing. Here's what it pays. You go to this studio. You record the things.
Yeah.
It's exciting, you know.
That is the best feeling too, because it really just validates that I'm doing this. This is what I wanted to do, and it's actually like happening.
Yep. That's your social proof.
Yes.
Literal social currency that what you're doing is paying off.
Yes. So, what do you think was the lowest time in your career?
I don't know. Let me put it this way. I think every time you finish a job, you know you're unemployed. I don't know that it's a low point so much as just a mindset like, okay, if I know that, I am never worried about where the next job comes from, because I know if I am able to keep auditioning and keep reaching out, eventually a job is going to book. So what I tell people who want to do this, or, you know, any kind of creative path, is it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There are going to be highs and lows. There's definitely days where the auditions aren't as fast as I would like them to be, or maybe they're not the kinds of auditions that I want to see as much. And then I have to ask myself, okay, what of that can I control? Do I need a minute to be sad about it? You know, and if I need that minute, I take that minute. If I need somebody to help me problem solve, I phone a friend. You know, and then you kind of pick yourself up and you keep going. This is a marathon. The whole life that we have, this is a marathon.
It really is.
So,
do you have like a dream role, like something that you just, or like just a role, or like a series that you'd like to be in, or a movie or something?
Gosh, there are so many of them. I want to keep working. This is the job that I want to do until the day I die.
Aww.
So, if I get to do that, then I have succeeded. I had a person in my life many years ago who said, "What is your exit discipline?" And this person worked in finance. And so finance people are looking to find out when can they sell so they make money, or if they're not making money so they can cut their losses, right? Very, you know, logical. And I basically was like, dying? I love this. Even if people didn't pay me, I think I would find a way to do this.
Yeah.
And you know, his finance brain kind of exploded. And so we are no longer together because of that. But
oh, wow.
It's an important lesson, right? Like, you have to know what is your tolerance for risk. And if it's high, you know, then you can kind of work in that threshold. If it's low, then you either have to push your threshold past your comfort zone, or you have to say, okay, I cannot do this. This is not for me. It is too risky. I'm going to get a job with a salary and a 401k and a health plan. And then, you know, it's a stable life, and that makes me happy. And there ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's perfect. Do you have any advice that you would give anybody who is an aspiring voice actor, or somebody who is trying to get into that industry?
I would say study, invest in yourself. You have to work on your craft. So, you know, don't make the demo before you're ready. And everybody's definition of ready is different, but mine is, excuse me, if what you do, you cannot do against the people who are booking constantly, if you're not competitive, you're not ready. So keep working on your craft, because once you do your demo and you throw it out into the universe, whether you pay zero money for it or you pay thousands of dollars for it, that becomes your calling card. And you're saying, what you hear on this demo, I can do within 1 to 3 takes consistently.
Yeah. That is very similar to content creation too. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, you know, you don't have to be competitive, just do your thing. But it's like, you know, there is a lot of people who are creating content, and of course it doesn't have to be like negative competition, because I think a lot of people who think of competition, they're like, well, that's negative and you shouldn't be competing. But it's like, you know, you don't have to be negative about it, but you know, you are competing with other people for certain things. So
I mean, this is a mindset thing, right? And as like when you're creating content, the pie is not finite. It is as big as you want it to be, which means there is enough pie for everyone. The problem is, when there is a lot of pie, the people who get to eat the pie get to choose what kind of pie they want.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know, the quality of what's out there has just exponentially gotten more and more professional. And then that means, not professional me with my iPhone and bad lighting, like then I can't compete with that.
Yes.
So then I either have to up my game or I have to decide, okay, this is not for me. Let me find someplace else to play.
That's very good advice.
Yeah. And I think that's very true. It's true of what you do. It's true of what I do.
Yeah. It's interesting how I've learned this too, not just from you, but from other voice actors, like how similar content creation and voice acting is, like the industry in general. It's just very similar.
Yeah, I think, you're like content creation, it's been the Wild West for a really long time. So there's some places where it's a little murky. But I think as people kind of bubble up, then you start to create some order out of that chaos.
Right. Yeah. Well, those are majority of the questions that I have. We do have a couple questions from the community that some folks have asked. If you want to take them.
Yeah, we have a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only a couple. So the first one is, what experience has voice acting has brought to your life that changed how you view something or an aspect of something?
Oh gosh. There is a certain joyful peace in getting to do what you love every day. Even if I didn't make money today, even if I didn't book a job today, like just knowing that I'm in charge of my schedule and I'm in charge of my life and having that agency over the choices that I'm making has just been so freeing. And, I can say this having worked in the corporate side. I've worked as a freelancer, and I have that other side of my brain that does things too. But knowing that I have chosen this and that I am actively choosing every day I wake up to do this, I think is just a wonderful thing. And I might wake up tomorrow and go, I think I've done this. I've stretched my boundaries. I'm good. Let me find something else. Or I might say, okay, where else can I play?
Honestly, being your own boss is the best feeling.
Just so good.
It's the best feeling. Let's see. What is something you wish someone in the industry had told you before you joined?
That is a good question. I feel like this might just be like all industries. There is no substitute for experience. I think people can tell you a lot of stuff. Like I just told you stuff about demos.
Right.
But until you're in it and you're in the soup and you've gotten, you played around and experimented, you don't really know. So I think one thing we don't really say, we try to imply, by saying, learn from my mistakes so you don't make them, is you need to experiment and you need to be okay with failure and not take failure as an L. Take failure like L like loss. It's
right.
L like learning.
Oh.
So that's like something, especially coming from corporate, when I grew up in the corporate world, if you were losing, you were a loser. But they didn't necessarily want you to learn from your mistakes, or they weren't really open to it because it was like a way of saving face. Like,
right.
I don't lose. I win all the time. So there's a bit of bravado to it. And, I come in and I'm like, okay, well, they just did this project and it really sucked. Can I look at why so we don't suck anymore? And, and I go into even what I do now. I'm like, if I'm not doing something well, then I ask myself how I can fix it. And if I can't fix it, then I ask myself, is it worth me going down that path or do I find a different way? But, the L is for learning, not losing.
Oh, I love that advice. I'm going to look at L like completely different now when I see it like on Twitter.
Yay!
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And then the last one is, what was your favorite role that you had to voice so far?
My favorite role, to borrow a line from Rob Paulson, who is an amazing voice actor, is the next one.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ratana. It was so lovely to have you on.
You're lovely, and your group is lovely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And congratulations again on your role. And I can't wait to see what you do next. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. This has been lovely. Thank you again for the conversation, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.